This is SaaStr's Founders Favorite series, where you can hear some of the best from SaaStr speakers. This is where the cloud meets.
This September, SaaStr Annual, the 7th SaaStr Annual, is finally back. We're finally back in the real world. At the very end of September, we'll be back at the San Mateo County Fairgrounds, just south of San Francisco, just north of Palo Alto. Outdoors, we'll do the first outdoor SaaStr Annual, first 100% vaccinated SaaStr Annual on over 40 acres at the fairground. It'll be fun. It'll be a little bit like a Coachella for SaaS, and we'll have tons of great speakers at it. The CEOs of Datadog, CEOs of Vimeo, CEOs of Y Combinator, president of Shopify, and so much more. And we'll also have a digital component too, because we've gotten pretty good at that. But please, it's time to get back together. And if you can, if you're vaccinated and you can get to the SF Bay Area in September, please join us at SaaStrAnnual.com.
Great demos win deals, and DemoStack can help you deliver great demos every time. DemoStack gives sales teams complete control, customization, and insights over their demos. Create custom demos in minutes. Gain deal-winning demo insights. Learn more and request early access at demostack.com. Nihilus gives developers the API building blocks they need to quickly and easily add customizable, robust, and fully secure email communication and scheduling features directly into their applications. Nihilus, productivity for all. Learn more at nihilus.com/SaaStr. What do New Relic and ZoomInfo have in common? They both hired Directive. Directive is the performance marketing agency fully dedicated to SaaS. Curious if you're a good fit? Fill out their form and get a $100 gift card if you qualify at directiveconsulting.com/SaaStr. Up today, bottom-up versus top-down selling in the enterprise with ThoughtSpot CEO Sadish Nair.
A long time ago, in a land far, far away, a farmer, his wife, and their teenage son decided to go shopping for a donkey. They wanted to make sure that they have the best deal, and the market is far away. So they got up early in the morning and started the journey. And their perseverance paid off because they were able to find the best donkey for the most attractive price. They spent some more time and had lunch and decided to start their journey back home. So they were about to start the long journey back to the farm, and the son says, look, 3 of us are walking and the donkey is anywhere there. Why don't one of us just ride the donkey back home? And mother says, that's a good idea, son. Why don't you jump on? So he hopped on the donkey and they started the journey. Everyone is happy. A few minutes in, a person who's standing, just a stranger on the side of the road, says, what sort of a boy are you? Your father, the head of the household, is walking and you're riding this donkey. So the son is like, that's true. He jumps off, father jumps on and says, that makes sense. Let's just do this. A few minutes in, guess what? Someone else says, what sort of a man will ride a donkey when the wife is walking in this hot sun? Chivalry is dead. Now the father jumps out, has a small family conference. And then they decide, it's better to sort of have both of them ride the donkey. Anyway, son is teenager, he's a young boy, he can walk. So mom and dad are riding the donkey, their family is happy, everything goes well, until half an hour later when they see somebody else yelling at them. How much more can you add on this poor donkey? There's such a animal cruelty going on here. I can't believe I'm saying this. Now the family gets together again and decides what's next to do. And then what they ended up doing, he said, let's just carry the damn donkey all the way back to the farm. And that's what they did. Look, I think our industry is going through such a massive change. We used to sell software to our customers as products. Now, instead of selling it as a product, we don't sell anything to them. We rent services. We lease services, software as a service, so that they can have it for a certain period of time. So fundamentally, we have changed it. Obviously, when things change that much, every single function should be part of that change. For example, if you are in accounting, you have to think about how to run the business on ACV instead of TCV. Products team needs to figure out how to get closer to customers. Engineering needs to figure out how to release code every week. And of course, sales and marketing need to be much better in figuring out how to sell services instead of selling product or lease services. So it's not surprised that this topic of what's better, top-down or bottoms-up, have been a hot one. In fact, it is hot because all VCs are talking about it, right? They are writing blogs and papers and everything going on. Investors, founders, analysts, they're all talking about it. And in fact, the idea is that somehow the decision has been that it makes sense for us to imagine that you need both. So if you think through how the decision is progressing, it is ultimately coming down and saying, okay, you need both. I believe that even if we agree that we need both, it's not good enough, because the challenging part is how do you do both? I mean, that is the harder thing than anything else to do here. What I want to do is not to add to that noise, because there is a lot of conversations happening. And since I'm going to be adding to the next half an hour, adding more to it, I want to remind you that ultimately it is your family, it is your donkey, it is your farm. You know what is the best way to get your donkey back to your farm. But instead, I wanted to talk a little bit about how we at ThoughtSpot transformed our business. So if you don't know ThoughtSpot, we're a 9-year-old company. We started with this idea that business intelligence in its current form is broken, in the sense that dashboards and reports that analysts build after a lot of work is the culmination of a data discovery journey, and that's wrong. That's like the cul-de-sac. We wanted it to be at the beginning of an explorative journey for business users, a dashboard that talks to people and they can explore more. The data was on-prem. For the first 6 years of the company, we built everything on-prem, and the last year we released our cloud. And as part of that, the entire company had to reinvent itself. Today, almost 93% of our business is cloud within 12 months of, a little more than 12 months. And that business is growing around 273% year over year, off a really good base as well. So what we learned is that instead of telling people what to do, it is better if we can give more of a template, a blueprint. So that's what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is talk about our thought process in the form of 9 questions. And every question, when you answer, will take you to a fork on the road. And every fork will take you to more options. At the end of it, you will have a complex sort of decision framework, decision tree. And yes, it is complex because no one said enterprise SaaS business is supposed to be simple or easy, right? So let me walk you through the questions we asked and the options that come with it. Everything starts, if you have watched CSI or any of these shows, that every time a crime is committed, the first question investigators ask is cui bono? Who benefits? I think that question is relevant here. So we start with that. Who benefits with whatever you are doing? Now, instead of taking the standard personas, I like to sort of put them in these 4 buckets because these are universally applicable. So let me quickly drive you through that. The first one is gatekeepers. Gatekeepers, think of them as personas, people who are measured on, are they protecting the business? How good are they in protecting the business? So think InfoSec as an example, right? Business users are people who are directly responsible for moving the needle for the business. So it depends on which business. It might be different shapes. For example, if you're retail, this person could be a customer support agent. If it is an insurance company, there could be risk management specialists. An enabler is, think of them as the people who are responsible for making others productive in the organization. So HR, payroll, sometimes IT. They are more engine oil than gasoline, without which obviously the pistons will crank against each other and fall apart. And the last one is leaders. Leaders, I don't mean every people leader. Think of them like maybe 2, sometimes 3 level from the front line. These are people who have more time to think strategic things than tactical things. So they're measured mostly on growth. Are you able to drive the business forward? Once we have done with that, let's think about how do they benefit? And it comes down to this. Like I said, I'm going to make it very prescriptive and simple. In general, gatekeepers, when you sell to them, they are not going to get a lot of credit for making things more secure because they are expected to make things more secure always. The question is, can you do it more efficiently? So they almost always think about doing same thing or better, but doing it with less cost. Business users, this is an important one because business users sometimes will be able to find more dollars as long as they can deliver more for the business. So you can already see if your product requires share shifting, there is a dollar that customer is already spending, and you want to take that same dollar back without adding to it or hopefully maybe shrinking it. Gatekeepers appreciate that. However, if you have a product that you're selling where you believe that customers have to go find more dollars, new dollars, in those kind of motions, business users might be able to appreciate that as long as they're able to deliver better productivity or ROI, which we'll come to in the next slide. Enablers, universally, think of an HR person who's trying to go from, let's say, Bamboo to Workday. Almost always they know that the biggest value that they can add to their business is by learning and improving. So learning comes number one for them. And as part of that, obviously, the earning potential goes up. For leaders, so it's pretty simple. You can't say that I learned a lot of things. Most of the time, it comes down to a simple metrics of growth. Okay, now let's go to the next level. You know the person who benefits, you know how they benefit. Now the question is, in absence of product, sales organization, let's say you don't have sales and marketing, can the product in itself evangelize and sell into each one of these functions? This is a good thought experiment. And if you do it, what you will realize is gatekeepers are usually empowered users in the sense that it is very difficult. If you've ever dealt with an InfoSec person, you know they are not the kind of people you want to mess with. For them, it is about clear ROI. They want to make sure that things are simpler because of what they've done. So if I were to take an example, think Okta. It's a good use case of how you can drive it through gatekeepers. If you're a business user, there are advantages and disadvantages. Advantage is that they are more focused on delight and productivity. The beautiful thing about this part of business is that you might land small in a one user or something, but every user is a potential demand gen machine for you because as they are using your product to communicate with others, share things, every person who's coming in contact with that is potentially a new prospect for you, fully qualified by your primary user. Miro, I love this product. It's an example of that. If you go through enablers, you have to understand this is a decision that is made by a few people and others cannot appeal it. Imagine if your company decide to go to Workday, like I said. As a salesperson or an engineer or developer, it's not like you have a lot of say in which tool HR is going to deploy. And once you deploy, the users are going to use it. This is an advantage. However, you got to understand the reason why they do that is because they want to now get more scale. So the right timing will matter a lot if you're going after enablers. And the last one, sometimes you got to understand that leaders in general are more focused on efficiency. That is, the growth will come, but growth is more than numerator. They're focused on denominator. Can you deliver more efficiency? Can you do things in ways that actually move the needle? And Medallia is a good example of a product that directly connected to those sort of aspirations of leaders. Okay, let's go to the next question, which is, now you know that. Now, how does this persona buy in general? Again, these are all generalization. Gatekeepers, the products usually are going to sit in between a lot of adjacent product, which means it's a large surface area. While it will be a central deployment, the process of deploying will require others to collaborate. So guess what? It requires sort of convincing others, collective decision making. All of those things will have implications on what sort of sales motion you're going to build. this large surface area, managing that sometimes will require help. So a product like CrowdStrike is a good example for something like that. And business users, these could be individual decisions, very small footprint. But like I said before, the power of reference selling, the power of experience-based selling can become a huge tailwind. However, every land is only going to incrementally add to a minuscule of your overall growth motion. So you got to figure out how to scale this universally if you want to build something of massive value. I want to talk enablers. Like I said, while it is interesting to know that they are empowered, more often than not, these will be federated deployments. So imagine you're a large bank and a product manager decides to use intercom as a way to deploy in-app experience. Now, while that product manager may control that product and through that you will get a lot more footprint, the fact is there could be another app, another product manager who is going to use something completely different for them. So the ability to have inorganic growth, that is salespeople that you are not paying, selling your product is a beautiful thing. That potential does open up with embeddability and intercom and things like that. However, you have to make sure that a product alone may not be able to jump from a domain to domain. You might need people behind it, which again is a factor when it comes to top-down or bottoms-up. One common mistake that sometimes founders and salespeople in general make is that leaders, once you get to leaders, the game over. In reality, it is not that simple. Oftentimes, good leaders don't like to mandate things because they cannot. In this new economy that we are all operating in, unless the product itself does it work, it is not that leaders can come in and just mandate a new product into the company. Oftentimes, what happens is the leaders will have severe interest and aspirations to get a product in, but it will require others selling around. And so his or her organization is becoming champions or are become champions for that. So usually leaders are powerful influencers. And just like the old story of Icarus, if you fly close to the sun, when you're selling to leaders, you got to be careful because if you don't deliver, chances are you may not get back into the organization again. So it is fail or fly. And this is, our ThoughtSpot's old model of sales. We perfected this, which we are leveraging as we are moving into the new world of cloud-based selling. Okay, now go to the next one. We have created all of those things. And now the question is, how does the deal naturally move? And this is a complex one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use examples of waterfalls, different types of waterfalls. Imagine a deal like a plunge waterfall, something that moves really slowly, peacefully. You can't even tell the river is actually moving until it reaches the point of fall where it just comes out massively. This is a very traditional kind of move for large sales organizations. You can see some of our customers who actually went through that process. You got to have the patience, you got to have the infrastructure, you have the people and experience and tools for multi-touch attribution, amazing field marketing, unbelievable product marketing. It requires all of those effort. However, it is worth it. So they're like the plunge waterfalls. The other one, slide waterfalls, are interesting in the sense that they happen very quickly, but you're not going to find another fall for a long time, which means that this is extremely dangerous if you don't understand how it is differing from Cascade, for example. Because a deal comes in, and after that, the sales and inside sales, they know there are more opportunities there, so they will move on. If you have not built, for example, a really vibrant community, if you don't have good inside sales for renewals, or if you don't have good customer success operations, what happens is they will go away from your memory until it comes time for renewals. And guess what will happen? They will churn because you didn't pay attention to them, somebody else get in. And churn, as you can imagine, is an extremely painful thing to do in the new world of SaaS selling. So you got to make sure that you don't confuse slide waterfall with the cascade waterfall, where you can land and you will get more and more and more as you can expand the scope of the company, the scope of the project, the use case, that they all come together. Here, you have to imagine the entire team going after it, because it is not just about a sales team, it's the product marketing team, the field marketing. They all are responsible for sale along with the product managers. Product managers could move the needle in case of cascade waterfall. So when you think about the sales motion, you have to think about, are you building the right kind of product management? Sometimes if you don't have that there, your choice might be nothing but to build a top-down sales organization that can pay for it. Now, imagine that you do have a sales organization that's already inherited, or you're in the process of building. I like to put your sales organizations and the people and the personalities to two buckets: limelighters and land grabbers. Limelighters, it doesn't mean that people who like limelights and they are full of ego. In fact, it is the opposite. Limelighters, the way I like to define, are people who are, when they see a problem, they will jump in, with or without knowing how to solve it. They like being in the limelight to solve the thing for the company. However, if they fail, they don't care. They'll learn from it, move on, and keep doing the next thing. They are the kind of people who are happy to be, measuring the input rather than output. They know that output will follow if I just focus on input. If you have those kinds of leaders and talent, it is an asset. And that gives you more option when it comes to whether it's top down, middle out, or bottoms up. Land grabbers are masters of their trade, basically, in the sense that there are times where for them, while data is important, they are the kind of people who can shape with feelings and then decide with the data. Imagine how many times have you seen a deal that's gone sideways, but a seller will say, you know what, I'm going to turn it back. But the data says that you can't really turn that back around. Somehow these people can go and change things. And that requires tremendous amount of experience and skills, and they will cost. And they are the kind of people who don't talk a lot about input rather than they focus on output. So for them, it is not that exciting to say that we have 100 M0s. They care about how many S1s, S2s were converted.
Great demos win deals, and DemoStack can help you deliver great demos every time. DemoStack gives sales teams complete control, customization, and insights over their demos. Create custom demos in minutes. Gain deal-winning demo insights. Learn more and request early access at demostack.com. The Nihilus APIs deliver secure, powerful, and performant email and calendar integrations that drastically increase productivity for both software developers and their end users. Nihilus, productivity for all. Learn more at nihilus.com/SaaStr. What do New Relic and ZoomInfo have in common? They both hired Directive. Directive is the performance marketing agency fully dedicated to SaaS. Curious if you're a good fit? Fill out their form and get a $100 gift card if you qualify at directiveconsulting.com/SaaStr.